All right, so this is going to be the B problems of the review. Your teacher should have gone over the A problems in class. So first we're going to start with 1B. And for this one, it's just a simplify problem. So anytime you see simplify, that does not mean that you are solving. You are just going to distribute and then combine any like terms that you have. So notice here we have a negative sign in front of our parentheses. That means we're going to be distributing a -1. So I'll multiply -1 to both of the things inside. So I'll be left with 6 minus 8x. Then -1 times 4x is -4x. -1 times -7 is +7. So now that we've distributed, we just need to figure out what our like terms are. So I'll start with this 6. So the like term to 6 is any other number without a variable, which in this case would be +7. So 6 plus 7 equals 13. And then my next one is the variable x. So I'll find all terms with an x. So I have -8x and -4x. When I add these together, -8 plus -4 is -12x. So this is our answer, but you could you could also see it written as -12x plus 13. So it may be in a different order than you first write it. That's okay. So -12x plus 13 is the answer to 1B. For number 2B, we have 3/4 w plus 5 equals 8. So the first step here is to add or subtract. So remember our 5 steps, add or subtract comes before multiply and divide. So to get rid of +5, I would subtract 5 on each side. So these cancel out and I'm left with 3/4 w equals 3. Now our next step, we need to get rid of the bottom of this fraction. So the denominator, to get rid of that, we just multiply by whatever number is on the bottom. So times 4 times 4. So I'm left with 3w equals 12. My last step here is to multiply or divide. And since 3 times w, the opposite of that is to divide by 3. So the 3's cancel out, and I'm left with w equals 4. Okay, for 3b, first step is always to distribute to get rid of our parentheses. So I'll distribute the 9, and I'll distribute the 3. So 9 times x is 9x. 9 times 1 is 9. 3 times 3x is 9x. 3 times 4 is 12. Now our second step is combine like terms, but we don't have any. So we need to move our variables to one side. So I'll take this 9x and I subtract it from both sides. So these cancel out. And notice they also cancel out on this side. So I'm just left with 9 equals 12. And remember what we said in class, if your variables completely cancel out, you're either left with no solution or infinitely many solutions. And since 9 does not equal 12, these are not the same number, the answer would be no solution. If these two numbers were the same, our answer would be infinitely many solutions. Okay, for 4b, This is the one time that we're going to break our 5 steps. We're actually going to multiply or divide first. So I want to get rid of this 2 on the bottom. That means I need to multiply by 2 on both sides. So those 2's cancel out, and I'm left with 5b plus 6 equals 26. Now I can follow my normal steps. So there's no parentheses, no like terms. The variables are all on the left, so I'm going to add or subtract. And I'll subtract 6 on both sides, which means I'm left with 5b equals 20. Last step is to divide by a 5. So b would equal 4. Okay, 5b, we're going to solve the literal equation for c. And like we talked about in class, you need to circle whatever variable you're solving for. So I'm solving for this c here. That means I'm not going to move the c, and I'm going to get rid of this b and this d. Now, just like normal, we are going to add or subtract before we multiply or divide. So I can't divide this b right now. Instead, I need to subtract d. So I'm left with a minus d. So a minus d equals bc. And I'm still solving for, not b, sorry. Still solving for c, so I'm going to circle that. Which means I need to get rid of b. So since these two are multiplied, to get rid of multiplication, I have to divide. The b's then cancel out, so my final answer here is a minus d over b equals c. For 6b, I'm going to translate these words into an equation. So 7 times y, so that's just going to be 7 times means to multiply, so it's 7 times y, minus, that means subtract, so subtract 4 equals 20. So you just read the sentence, and you just need to know that times means multiply, minus is subtract, equals is equals. So this right here would be our answer. Okay, 7b. So our steps here, I don't have any parentheses and I don't have like terms, so I'm going to move variables to one side. And I usually like to pick the smaller number, so in this case it would be negative 2a. To get rid of negative 2a, I add 2a. So those cancel out, and I'm left with 2 equals 7a plus 9. Now I need to add or subtract, so I need this a completely by itself, which means I need to get rid of this 9. So I'd subtract 9 here and subtract 9 there. 2 minus 9 is negative 7, and that will equal 7a. My last step is to divide, so I divide by 7. Negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1. So negative 1 would be our answer. Okay, 8b, I need to find the perimeter. So I'll draw a rectangle here. Now the length is going to be 3g minus 1. So I'd have that here and on the other side. And then my width would be 2g plus 9 on this side and also on this side. Now perimeter just means that we need to add up all of the sides. So I would have 3g minus 1 plus 3g minus 1 plus 2g plus 9 plus 2g plus 9. So I just add up all four sides, and now I just need to figure out what the like terms are. So I have 3g, 3g, 2g, and 2g. So 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10g. Now I need my numbers. So the constants, -1, -1, +9, +9. So -1 plus -1 is -2, plus 9 is 7, plus 9 is 16. So our perimeter would be 10g plus 16. Number 9, we're going to be distributing first. So I have -0.5 that I'll be distributing to both terms inside, which gives me 2. Then -0.5 is the same thing as 1/2. So -1/2 of 10 is going to be -5n. -1/2 of 10 again would be -5. And this would equal -8n. You could also just use your calculator and type in 0.5 times 10 to get this 5. So I need to combine like terms, which I have 2 and -5 on this side. So I'd end up with -5n. 2 minus 5 is -3. And that's going to equal -8n. Now we need my variables on the same side. So I'll add 5n to both sides. And I end up with -3 equals -3n. Divide everything by -3. So -3 divided by -3, 1 equals n. And that's my answer. Okay, number 10 is another simplify one. So I should not have an answer that's y equals. It should just be distribute and combine like terms. So I'll distribute this 4, and I get -5. 4 times 2y is 8y. 4 times -1 is -4. Then minus 3y. So for the like terms, I'll start with the constant. So -5 and -4. When you add those together, you get -9. Then I have positive 8y and -3y. So 8 minus 3 is 5y. And again, you may see it written the other way, so it could be 5y minus 9. Both of these are the same, so whichever way you see it, if you get this as your answer, make sure the answer choices aren't flipped. So it's still right either way. And the last one, 11b. So we're still going to be distributing first. So I have 3 times 2n, 3 times -6, and then I'm distributing a 1/3. So 3 times 2m is 6m, 3 times -6 is -18. Now when I'm distributing a fraction like this, it's the same thing as dividing by this bottom number. So I'm just going to be dividing by 3 instead of multiplying when I distribute. So 12m divided by 3 is 4m. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So just look at that bottom number. That tells you what to divide by. Now I solve this like normal. So I need to move my variables to one side. So we'll take the smaller one and subtract it. So minus 4m, minus 4m. Those cancel out, and I'm left with 2m minus 18 equals 10. Then I need to add or subtract, so plus 18 to both sides, which gives me 2m equals 28. Divide by 2, we get m equals 14. So that is all the B problems of the review.